It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
I Married a Monster, Part 1. Don't mind the sounds of my dogs chewing on their bones, guys. Okay, so this is gonna be a really hard share for me. I'm embarrassed, and I really don't want to be doing this, but part of the healing journey is being honest and vulnerable. Many of you have followed me for a long time. I have something known as the Good Man playlist. He is number 3. We met on this platform in 2020. He was one of many chivalrous men who came into my comment section to call other men out on their fragile masculine bullshit, and then would DM me and say, "Hey, I apologize for starting fights in your comment section. I hope that's okay." And that's been a big blind spot for me always. Anytime a man is coming to the defense of women sharing their experiences. Eventually I gave him my phone number, and the first time we talked for hours. I think 5 or 6 hours, like almost up all night. We shared pictures and stories. We talked about our kids. He was extremely liberal, extremely feminist, very artistic, very well spoken, and an Americanized sort of, but not American. We had very different lifestyles. I was a single mom with 2 kids, going through the grind, trying to create my independence and rebuilding my career. And he was an artist who traveled a lot. We finally met in person, and he was amazing. He went out of his way to drive 4 hours to see me, paid for a hotel, paid for a flight change for me to go home a couple days later so that we could finally meet. And it was everything I ever could have wanted. We mostly just were homebodies in the hotel, me, him, and his dog. And on the day that we left, he bought me a bag to carry home the extra stuff I had bought. And we went out to lunch, and one of the things that really stood out to me was that our waiter at lunch had a really bad blister on his heel. And this man went out of his way to Instacart bandages, flip-flops, and anything else he could do in order to make this guy's day more comfortable so he would stop limping or walking on the back of his shoe. And what can I say? I mean, he was easy to fall in love with. So fucking easy. So confident, so secure, so feminist. We both lived completely separate lives. I was going out with my friends 3-4 nights of the week. He was traveling and being out with people, and there were no issues. Neither of us was ever like, "What were you doing last night?" Like, it wasn't a thing. Until one day he made an unusual ask of me. Being at a distance, I think he had been drinking. I had been out to a client lunch, and he was like, "I think you should go out tonight and try to find a guy and, do something spicy with him." Completely with his permission, right? It was so fucking far out of my comfort zone. I've never had a one-night stand with a man I've met in a bar ever in my fucking life. But also I was in love with this man, and it seemed like it was a fun play thing, and he was like, "Just videotape it. I want to hear all about your experience." And I don't know. I thought, okay, what's the worst that could happen? I ended up in very bad circumstances at the end of the night, totally freaked out, had too much to drink, trying to accommodate this, was trying to be honest with a couple of men that wanted to participate, and they ended up being total douche canoes. And I freaked the fuck out and went to the bathroom and thought, what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? This isn't me. And I left. And a lot of bad things happened for me that night. And the next morning, I communicated with him, "Hey, I'm not going to be doing that again. It was fun trying that. I get why that could be exciting, but I had a really bad experience." And instead of him being able to be there for me in that moment, he accused me of lying. "You went out and did it and just didn't record it," or "Why aren't you telling me that you just did it? And you can be honest." But I hadn't done anything, okay? And I was certainly never going to do anything like that ever again. I can't even believe I did it in the first place, honestly. That was our first disagreement. And I stopped talking to him for a couple of weeks. And then when we finally did have a discussion about it, it was very ugly. He did some things in that discussion that crossed a line, and I swore I would never speak to him again. Until about a year later, he called me. I hadn't heard from him in maybe, 6-7 months. All of a sudden one day, he calls me. Now, after the last conversation, which didn't go so well, we ended up fighting. Ultimately, what started the fight was that he said he would call me back in a few minutes and then didn't speak to me for days. By the time he did, I was upset, he was upset, and the text messages were fucking off the charts horrible. This man threatened to call CPS, have my kids taken from me. He threatened my life, and I could tell he wasn't himself. I mean, this clearly wasn't the man I had met. Of course, I blocked him. I cut off contact. He reached out to me, right? That's where part 2 starts. He came in with a whammy. He came in to tell me that the reason why we hadn't spoken was because he had a degenerative macular disease, which affects his eyes, and that he had found out that he was going to be blind in a very short period of time. One of his eyes he was already blind in. Mind you, when we met, he wore an eye patch some of the time. So I immediately, having a medical background, jumped on studies, started emailing doctors, started saying, hey, like, what are the stem cell research studies going on for this disease, and how do we get him in? I started sending him things. I started making requests of him. I need you to go have a specific MRI. I need to see the nerve damage. I want to send it to this doctor or that doctor. There are multiple studies going on in other countries that we can jump on where they're doing stem cell research where they are proving that we can rebuild your optic nerve. I became completely immersed in helping this man with his medical condition because I don't fucking give up, okay? Like that's never been a me thing. He was telling me inevitably he was going to be Mr. Magoo, and I was like, yeah, no, there are things we can do, maybe just not in this country. He never did any of the things that I asked him to do. He didn't make the appointments, he didn't do the MRI, he didn't sign up for the studies. But now we're talking again every day. No questions asked, no apologies about what happened before, not even a discussion. Because that's the type of person that I am. Fucking overachiever, people pleaser bullshit, right? At its fucking finest. But then after a couple of months of him not really doing what I was asking, him not really getting what I needed in order to further him along in some of these studies, I finally just said, why are you calling me? Are you wanting a relationship with me? Are you wanting just to be friends? And he said, yeah, I just want to be friends. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to be honest with you. You're taking up a lot of time in my life, and I really don't see the things that I'm asking of you in order to help you actually happening. And as an advocate, there's one thing that we know about people that are in need of advocacy. When they are not doing the steps to help themselves, they don't want to. So I said no. At the time, I had another man pursuing me heavily, and it wasn't fair for me to put him on hold for this man who had been so vile to me once before. Even though he had been amazingly wonderful, he had been incredibly vile, and he didn't want to have a relationship with me, or so he was saying. And now I'm doing all this work and all this legwork really for nothing. So eventually I was like, yeah, okay, I think I'm done helping. I've given you the resources, you have all the emails, you know what doctors I've been talking to, you know the studies, like, I'm checking out.
That damn dog.
I went back to my normal life, and I entered into a relationship with another man. 9 months into that relationship, I got another call from this man. So now I'm in an established relationship. I'm literally spending time with my new boyfriend's family, and I'm getting text messages and calls from this man. I'm now in an established relationship with a whole nother man. He calls me and tells me he has hit basically rock bottom. He's lost everything. He's lost all of his financial stronghold, all of his billions that he used to show me he had. he has a friend that he claims is a friend, someone that he's moving in with that's going to help him get back on his feet. And then he moved in with her, and she had all these expectations of entering into a relationship that he never had. Come to find out, they actually did have a relationship. That was actually the whole reason for him going there. Hindsight is 2020. So here he's calling me, telling me he's basically a homosexual at this point. And that he went to another woman who said that he could stay there while he got right, but she has all these expectations of sex and a relationship that he doesn't want to have. All of that was fucking lies. Now I'm in the middle of a relationship with someone else. This goes on for a couple days. I try to be there for him. He's sending me music. He's telling me how he's feeling. He's telling me he just can't wait to leave her place and if he could stay anywhere else. But he can't stay with me. I'm in another relationship. So the day that I finally cut it off was the day that I was headed out to have an experience with my new relationship partner's parents and him and his entire fucking family. And I was like, hey, I can't be doing this. I need to put my money where my mouth is. And you haven't been here for years. You know, like I need to stay where I'm at. I need to try to make what I have work. It's not perfect and it's been fucking horrible and it ended up fucking awful exponentially. But like I can't take in a homosexual. I already have one. What do I have a need for a second one for? Besides which, it turns out he had a whole relationship with her. He still refers to her as the narcissist that finally changed his life. So we didn't talk after that. We stopped talking yet again. I ended my relationship with the other man. It lived out its course in a fucking phenomenally, epically horrible way, just like every relationship I've ever had with a man. And then I went back to being happy and had a good, really fucking 6 months of rebuilding myself yet again from a man who had tried to destroy me and finding myself in another very well-paying job that I was doing very well at. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, on December 4th, I get a call from a blocked number. And I answer it because a lot of my clients are, not programmed into my phone. And the weirdest part was he said, hi, this is name. And it was a name I didn't recognize. And then he follows with, did you block me, you butthole? So I said, I don't know. Why don't you give me your phone number? And then I'll write it down and I'll look at my phone and I'll decide if I want to speak to you. But lo and behold, it was him. And in that moment, when I tell you, the moment we started speaking, he apologized tearfully for everything he had ever done to me. Said he had never felt so ashamed in his life. Said that I was the woman that got away and that all he ever wanted was to be the right kind of man for me. He promised me that he had gone out of his way to get a stable job, stopped touring, bought a house, set himself up to have a family, and all he wanted was for us to be a family. Didn't start out that way. For the first couple days, he was like, we're just going to be friends. And then he would occasionally throw in, you think I'm a creep. You don't know we're engaged. Then eventually, he won me over the same way he always did. He had an immaculate way of showing up just the way I needed him to in that moment.
It's a damn shame.
And it turned out everything he was saying was a lie. He didn't buy a house. He was renting one. Other people were staying there, living there. He wasn't ready for a wife, but he really wanted one. Now he was coming at me with a totally different story about the woman before, the friend that he never had a relationship with was all of a sudden a woman that he moved in with thinking she was something she wasn't. Found out all sorts of horrible things. She's a horrible narcissist and she did him totally dirty. All to try to gain sympathy, which really didn't work. He gave me her number. He wanted me to slam her, slander her, destroy her, beat her up, He gave me her number and said, hey, if you ever want to pick on somebody, she's the person. I never did that. In fact, the only time I ever reached out to her was a warning to never speak to him again. I didn't tell him that, and I'm not ashamed of lying to him about that at all. I will be a girl's girl till my death. All the horrible things he wanted me to tell her that he knew that could destroy her or would make her never speak to me again, I never told her, and I never will. I'll never tell anyone. Okay, skipping around that. He wanted me to come visit him. We started talking regularly again. It was like nothing had ever happened. And he apologized tearfully for hours about all of the bullshit he put me through the first several rounds. And I believed him. I believed that I was his dream girl, the one that got away, all of the things that he said. I married a monster, and I'm doing this outside even though I'm fucking freezing because a lot of you are annoyed at my dogs chewing on their animals and their bones and making squeak noises. So part 4, he's now left this woman, taken a steady paying job, and moved into a home. A home that he told me he bought for $300,000. Turned out he later tried to sell me that this was just a misunderstanding. He was renting it for $3,000 a month. God, when I tell you, sometimes men lie and you make active personal choices to believe them. And in this case, I didn't want to fucking fight. He wanted me to bring my kids to this meeting, and I was not about it. I had gained some weight. I was very concerned he might not be attracted to me anymore. After all, when we had met initially, girl, I had a banging fucking body. I was slim, trim, felt my best. So he persuades me, of course, to send some pictures, some videos, some images, and we're now talking about marriage, so I do that. He tells me he doesn't want me to lose any weight whatsoever. He's actually way happier with me now than he's ever been. Makes me promise for a whole year that I won't lose any weight, even though, Jesus Christ, I am extremely uncomfortable in my own body. And every fight we've ever had, he's made sure to take advantage of the fact that he knows that, and to call me fat and ugly and not anything like any of the other girls he's ever been with. Fuck my life, it's too cold. So we decide on a date to meet. And we're looking at plane reservations. He's going to take care of everything, of course, because y'all know me and I don't play that shit with men. I am not paying to come see you. Like, no. 3 weeks before we're supposed to see each other, he decides we need to see each other immediately. Not only that, but the wedding we've planned for February 14th for Valentine's Day, so that we could have our marriage be on the day where everybody celebrates love, which was his idea, now needs to be immediate. It needs to be immediate. And I'll tell you why. Because the weekend before this interaction, I did something I'm not proud of. And you guys can judge me, because I know that's what you're going to do, and I'm okay with it, but I'm going to be honest. He got very ugly with me. Very fucking ugly. He body shamed me, said horrible things. He had sent out a massage therapist to my house and then was like, we set other people up. This guy had no problems touching my genitals. He wanted it on video and even bought a camera and sent it to my house so that he could record it. And then insisted that he had no idea that the guy would do that. And when he did that, I was in a group chat with our girls, his 2 adult girls and my daughter, so that I could show them wedding dresses and different things and talk about venues and menus, etc. And I sent screenshots to the group chat. I sent screenshots showing explicitly what he was saying to me, how he was body shaming me, the things that he was saying. After about 2 hours of me trying to diffuse the conversation and him only making it worse, I sent it to the group chat. I regret it a lot. I don't think his daughters are speaking to him to this day. And had I also not been drinking and not been so hurt, I probably never would have done that. It doesn't excuse what I did. They are adults, but they are still children nonetheless. But I sent them everything. I sent them the entire group chat. I told them we will not be getting married, and I burned that motherfucking bridge to the ground. We didn't speak for several days after this. Him for being a horrible fucking person, and me for sharing it with our kids. Now, again, as a girl's girl, you can judge me, okay? I judge myself every day for that. Things should have been done right then and there, never again, never speak. But we apologized. We decided we were going to try to work through it. Let's go to part 5 when I fucking flew to meet him.
All of our girls now hate both of us, including mine, and I am packing for a trip to go see this man. Now, the video camera that he bought to watch me getting a massage is installed in my room for 24/7 surveillance under the guise of he just wants to keep me safe. Bullshit. Total fucking bullshit. I finally go to see him. In the days leading up to this and during the time that I was there, he wanted me to completely eliminate my social media. And I have to be honest, with the way things were going, I was like, yeah, I probably should do that. This platform really isn't what I wanted or what I signed up for. My original platform, which was all in writing, was all psychology. And this one very much has a man hating undertone. Although, he never thought so until recently. So I go to see him, and everything is great for the first 48 hours. Everything is fucking ideal. And then we go and get married. And the one thing that he said he wasn't going to do anymore, which was drink, he starts doing. Now, I never said I would not drink anymore. I'm not a belligerent or angry drunk. This was something that he was going to do because he said every time he does that, he gets angry and he has regrets. I will also point out that when I'm drinking and he's not, we don't have toxic arguments. So, nonetheless, he starts drinking. And now I'm there and we're arguing. It gets to a point where I make a meal for everyone because he has people that work beneath him or work for him living with him at this time, staying there until they can get an apartment. One of them doesn't want to taste my food and has kind of an attitude. I was kind of uncomfortable, but I was like, whatever, if she doesn't want to taste it, like it's not that big of a deal. It was a big deal for him. And admittedly, there is something very wonderful about a man that defends you in that way. He did not like her attitude. He ended up telling her she needed to leave for a multitude of reasons, including the fact that she hadn't been performing well anyway at work. But during this interaction, I was getting uncomfortable. Well, I decided to go upstairs and take a bath. And it was during that bath that I fell asleep. Now, concerns, I know, raise the red flags like everybody. Guys, this is a norm for me. I often fall asleep in the tub. And could something bad come from it? Yes. Has something ever? No. I'm just relaxed and warm in a house that's really cold with a bunch of bullshit happening downstairs that I don't want to be involved in. He comes upstairs to get me, and it's cold when I get out of the tub. We were having a normal banter about the fact that I was warm in the tub and now I'm cold, and now he wants me to dry off. He wants me to get dressed. He wants me to come downstairs and represent. He wants me to stand beside him in what he's doing, which is his best effort to protect my honor. But during this interaction, I'm not myself. I've been drinking. I'm tired. At some point in time, he grabs 2 fistfuls of my hair. I end up getting dressed and coming downstairs, but I'm feeling very uneasy. I asked him immediately when this happened, why it happened. In the morning, when I wake up, I'm in bed, and the first thing I say when I roll over is, why did you grab 2 fistfuls of my hair? He continues to gaslight me about it the entire rest of the trip. And at this point in time, I really have no choice but to go along with it because I need to get home safely to my kids, and my flight isn't until the next day. The whole 2-hour drive to the airport, all he does is try to convince me that that never happened, that it's a false memory,
and that, we laughed the whole time he was upstairs with me. There was no frustration, there was no anger. It was us giggling and having the best time ever. And I have really, really, really bad PTSD. And I have really bad post-narcissistic abuse syndrome. So my short-term memory isn't great. I don't feel like what he's saying is right, but I also need to get home safely to my kids. So I blindly agree. I apologize. I go along with his narrative. We get to the airport, my plane ticket isn't paid for, something's wrong with his card, so I buy my own ticket home, and now I'm home safe. And I have a lot of thinking to do. In the next 10 days, I would receive 4 wedding dresses and an entire wedding wardrobe, all with white sweater dresses and cute white outfits to wear leading up to the wedding. Sweatshirts that say I love my husband, but he doesn't like you. All while coming to terms with the fact that he is what I saw. Not just when I was there, but every day before that. That's him. We had promised forever is forever. And we were going to do the hard work, but he couldn't stop drinking, and we couldn't stop having volatile fights. And then the real fucking threats. When I look at the real fucking threats. Okay, so y'all wanted a part 6. But before we go there, I'd like to address
Not really, but
first, for those of you that are bitching about my dogs, why couldn't I go in another room? I've got kids here, okay? And the last thing I'm going to do is discuss this in front of them ever again. The second thing is I think that a lot of people tend to forget that abusive people are not always abusive. Sometimes he was Mr. Wonderful, Mr. Say Everything Right, Mr. Empathy, Mr. Emotional Intelligence. He would tearfully apologize. He would tell me, we got to work through this. We made a promise to each other. I need you to let go of what I said last night. We can't hold on to those things. We can't pretend that those things I said when I was drinking or when I was angry are real, because they're not real. What I'm telling you right now is real. This is real. You're the person I want to be with. You're the woman of my dreams. You're my dream girl. You're everything I've ever wanted. I'm so glad it's you. All that. I know a lot of women that find themselves in narcissistic relationships for 10, 15, 20 plus years. And you'll get no judgment from me. This isn't my first time. I have been here before, and it was almost 4 years. Now, mind you, him and I have had on and off long distance relationships for 4 years, but not consecutively. And I didn't know. I had never had an opportunity to see it, nor did he allow me to see it until about the last 5 weeks. So I'm allowed to feel good about the fact that I got out of that fairly fucking quickly. I am literally filing for divorce the same month we got married, okay? The threats, the emails, all that stuff was still happening, even up until yesterday. He's been finally just blocked everywhere, and I'm hoping that he's not going to create some additional email address now to come through and blast me somewhere else. But he's doing as much damage as he possibly can, okay? When I got back, I made an emergency appointment with my therapist, and we sat there and we read through all of the text messages, all of the emails from day 1, from 4 years ago, everything. And I told her about the camera, and she asked me what I was going to do. And, that was a hard thing. It's hard to admit when you know what you have to do is going to break your own heart. I don't know if he ever really loved me or not. I don't know if all of that was made up. He seemed to be punishing me for the things that the woman in his last relationship had done to him, and those were now directed at me. That's what it felt like. And I had never seen him like this. Ever. He had never been insecure and fragile and controlling. And in all honesty, he had never really been this cruel to me. Honestly, all I can hope is that it's over now. I hope that he never reaches out to me ever again. I'm going to go to great lengths to make sure that he doesn't as soon as the divorce paperwork is signed. I don't even want to tell you every horrible thing he said. or every awful email he sent. It doesn't matter. What matters to me is that the love I had, the love I have for him, that's real. And on some level, I think it was real for him too. But I love myself more. And when I get that signed paperwork back, we are all fucking celebrating with cake and champagne, okay? Okay.
What it do, everyday people, man? It's your boy PJ. Today we back with another lit video, back in the confessional. Yes, we staying lit, big dog. Shout out to my everyday people who rock with me every day. Shout out to my player partner, Lucky Wheels of Deals. Man, keeps it lit. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comment section. Hit the link down below. We got Opulence Scents where you can get you a 3-wick candle, man. Go ahead and hit that link below, man. Join the 100K subscriber giveaway by following me on social media. It is what it is, man. Let's get into the video. Now, Crazy Locks 918. Girl, what in the world is you? Man, we is not going to ignore the fact that you went back to this man 11 times after he showed you who he is. Freaky ass is, 69 God, freaky ass. He shows you who he is. You still went with it and you want to do the biz. Laid on the table, he got a whole masseuse and you let the masseuse just finger you like that? Come on. Man, listen. That man had you about to go do a one-night stand. He probably would have killed you if you would have did a one-night stand. So you lucky you didn't do it, because if he got mad about you not doing it, just imagine if you did it, girl, you would have died. He would have came after you, man. Y'all better watch out for these guys. I don't understand why y'all meet these guys and put up with them, and then the fact that y'all now putting the text message in the group chat, that's the ultimate Uno reverse. Like, oh, you want to play with me? Uno reverse. Yeah, that was just too much, man. I can't believe that you would let a man trick you into about to have a one-night stand with a random stranger. So you go and get drunk and have you didn't go through it, but oh man, come on. What kind of game did this dude have? I'm wondering what this guy looked like. I mean, I'm talking blue-eyed, blonde hair. You got blonde hair. I think y'all just lost in love with each other's hair and eyes, and y'all just think y'all gonna have this dreamy relationship, and everybody gonna look at y'all and be like, oh, look what kind of beautiful couple y'all are, and then he just turned out to be the damn devil. See, it's people like that in this world that you date and you be like, man, that girl fine. Then you realize she crazy and she rude and mean to her family, mean to the people around her, and just like has a bunch of evil intentions. You know what I'm saying? Like, just does evil shit just for no reason. Then want to always be nice and stuff like that. Like she ain't never did nothing wrong, and then blame you for everything. You did everything wrong, but just continue to do evil shit. It's just people like that. Like, I don't know why people are like that and where these people get off being like this, and then, and always really, and then if you don't give them what they want, they'll make you feel like whatever it is in your life is wrong. Not the fact that you don't want anything to do with them, but whatever it is that you doing is wrong. Okay? And it's so crazy that people really have that type of entitlement to themselves, that they think that they can just treat people like shit, but they do. And they want to get away with it. And the fact that people see it and people be like, it's not that people ignore it, they just don't care, because they be like, well. And what's crazy is you ask people's family, and people's family, they know that they got a crazy family member, and they won't do nothing about it. So, if somebody's family members saying, if everybody in the family is saying something about the person you dating, and they saying the same thing, if it's good, if they saying it, if it's bad, believe them. Okay? Do not ignore that. because you're gonna find out the hard way. If it's good, good. But if it's bad, you're gonna find out the hard way. And you don't want that. Everyday people, let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna holler at you later. Peace.
Everyday people.
Day and night. For some women, it can start working in as fast as 1 week.